Today, let's get started with concerns rise for Sean Strickland ahead of Khamzat fight. With real beef behind this Khamzat versus Strickland fight, there's definitely concern that if Strickland goes completely unfiltered like he usually does, things could go badly for him fast. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to help support the channel. While this fight is going to be amazing for fans, especially because these two are guaranteed to go at it during the build-up, that same reason is exactly why former UFC fighter Dean Thomas thinks it could become a problem for Sean Strickland. Why? Well, we all know Strickland by now. He's unfiltered, and he's gonna say something wild. Not just about Khamzat, but potentially about Khamzat's people too. Dean Thomas's concern is that if Strickland crosses the wrong line, it could lead to some outside the cage altercation. Thomas even suggested that Khamzat's goons could get involved if things escalate. He said the following while appearing on Mike Bond's show, The Bonfire, on YouTube.
Sean's going to say some crazy, wild stuff, and then he's going to leave it at that, and he's going to wait for the fight. But you just don't know what Chimaev and his people might do if they're truly offended.
Right.
Or what he might say or do if they're truly offended. You can't trust what he's going to do. Right, and or not even him. He might got some goons with him that just yo, I don't care. You know what I mean? We gonna show up to Jersey and we gonna do what we got to do because I don't care. You don't know what these goons. He might got some goons, man. So if I'm Sean, I'm gonna put on the show, but also too, I'm not gonna let it get too far.
Do you agree with what Dean Thomas had to say? Netflix MMA card revealed. Yesterday, we covered Mokaev teasing that he'd be on the Netflix card, and Jake Paul saying he'd announce the rest of the lineup today. Well, he followed through, and the card is stacked. Let's go over some of the new fights that got announced. Former UFC fighter Junior Dos Santos will be taking on another former UFC fighter, Robelis de Spain, in a heavyweight matchup. Then we've got the undefeated Muhammad Mokaev, Adriano Moraes, who comes in with a 21-6 record. We also have Alex Pereira's sister, Aileen, set to fight Jade Messon Wong. Another former UFC fighter, Lorenz Larkin, will be taking on Jason Jackson. Another notable bout is the match between Saladin Parnassi and Kenneth Cross. The rest of the card is on screen. What do you guys think about the first ever Netflix MMA card? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. UFC updates. Following the London card, we'll kick things off with UFC ranking updates. So, of course, we'll start with the main event match between Movsar Evloev and Lerone Murphy in the featherweight division. Heading into the fight, Evloev was ranked number 1, and with the win, he remains at number 1. As for Murphy, he was ranked number 3, and following the loss, he remains at number 3. Next, we'll move on to Roman Dolidze, who lost to unranked Christian Leroy Duncan. Before the card, Dolidze was ranked number 11 at middleweight, and with this loss, he is now ranked number 15. As for Duncan, he entered the rankings and is now ranked number 12. Speaking of Dolidze versus Duncan, Roman went on Instagram and said he wasn't happy with the judges who scored his fight. For those of you that didn't watch, Dolidze lost to Leroy Duncan by unanimous decision. He went on IG and posted, "I am not satisfied with the result. I don't agree with the judge's decision, but I congratulate my opponent. No sense in swinging after the bell. I'll be back on my home soil soon. See you in Georgia. Our strength is in unity." Now, we have Michael Page, who picked up a win this past Saturday against unranked Sam Patterson. Heading into the bout, MVP was ranked number 13 at welterweight, and after his win, he has now moved up one spot and is ranked number 12 in the welterweight division. Speaking of MVP, let's talk about his situation real quick. Heading into UFC London, he publicly showed some frustration with the UFC's matchmaking, feeling like he wasn't being given a big-name opponent. Well, in an interview with Ariel Helwani, MVP revealed that he has one fight left on his current contract. During that interview, he said that even though he's been speaking out, he's still grateful to be in the UFC. But before he signs a new deal, he wants to sit down with the promotion and have a real conversation about his path to the title moving forward.
How many fights do you have left on your UFC contract?
I think I got one more. It was a 6-fight deal, so.
Do you want to stick around? Do you want to see what else is out there? Given how you felt leading up to this point, you just mentioned the disrespect.
All fighters are going to have moments in their career where they feel unappreciated or they feel like things are not necessarily going in the way that they want. But ultimately, it is a massive privilege and an honor to be fighting on one of the greatest combat shows in the world that's ever to exist. And I'm thankful to have been given a shot. So the goal is the UFC belt. So as soon as we have the next conversation about, you know, where I'm going to go, how many fights is that going to mean? Let's sign me up. I want to get a belt. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to be here. I'm upset with myself that I haven't delivered what I know I can deliver, but I'm dying to show that to the UFC and just the world.
In the same interview, he talked about wanting to make a quick turnaround. In his words, he would be ready to go in a couple of months. Now, let's move on to Jiri Prochazka. Jiri is looking to work his way back toward the light heavyweight title. And next up, he's set to face Carlos Ulberg on April 11th. This one should be a banger. With the power both guys have, it wouldn't be surprising at all if we get a finish. And Jiri also posted a clip on his Instagram story showing just how strong he is right now. He was deadlifting 561 pounds. Huge props to Jiri. Now, we'll move on to a funny clip of Arman Tsarukyan. Arman has been everywhere recently, from live streams with multiple different creators. Well, Bear DeGidio posted a video poking fun at Tsarukyan, saying Arman was now a streamer and did not want to work on his fighting unless Nina Drama is streaming. Honestly, it's a funny moment. Check it out.
Armando.
Tell me what you want, I write to him.
Armando.
Tell me what you want, I tell him.
You sure? You look good. You look good. I'm proud of you. Hey, I'm proud of you. Hey. What did I tell you about the attitude? What did I tell you about the attitude? Coach, what's wrong with this guy? What did I tell you about the attitude?
He's busy with...
Yeah, you're a streamer. Unless Nina's here, he doesn't want to work.
He didn't even went to my favela, say hi.
No, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. Unless Nina... If Nina was there, he would have gone. Coach, if Nina was there, he would have gone. He would have gone. Come on.
If Nina wanted to go up the favela, he'd be like, let's go.
Brother, stop with the streaming. Back to fighting.
Like we pointed out in our video yesterday, Arman is set to compete on RAF 7 this Saturday, so stay tuned for that. Alexander Volkanovski wants Movsar next, and not happy with Jean Silva rumor. This past weekend, we saw Movsar Evloev defeat Lerone Murphy, and on paper, that should make him the clear #1 contender to challenge Alexander Volkanovski, if the UFC decides to go down that path. And with the way matchmaking has been lately, nothing feels guaranteed. Why are we saying that? Because Jean Silva seems convinced he's getting the title shot next. From handing Hunter Campbell a supposed contract during UFC London, to Dana White not giving a clear answer afterward during the post-fight press conference, the situation still feels up in the air. Well, Volkanovski just uploaded a video to his YouTube channel addressing the whole thing. In the video, Volk seemed frustrated that he might not even get the chance to fight Evloev, because like we said, the UFC could be looking at the Jean Silva fight instead. Volk also made a solid point about legacy. If he's thinking about cementing his resume, the Silva fight doesn't make nearly as much sense when you've got Evloev, who is undefeated in the division and coming off wins over top contenders. Here's what Volk had to say on his YouTube channel.
You know, people are going to throw Silva. I don't even know how people have really thrown that out. I'm quite certain it's Movsar. Obviously, the UFC, you never know.
What happens if they push Silva too? Is there a chance that happens instead?
Everyone knows what type of champion I am. I just don't know how many times can I just keep not fighting the #1 contender? He was the #1 contender, he was already #1 contender, just fought #3. Both of them guys were in front of everyone else pretty much. Diego Lopez, he's #2. So, but I just fought him twice. So these are the two top guys, and they had to face each other, and then you did have a winner. Yeah, so it's obviously clearly going to be Movsar. You know, everyone knows I'm a pretty easy champ to understand, and I will fight the best. But you know, it's going to come to a point where it's like, what are we doing here? We're just like, you know, we're just wasting money. Then if we talk legacy, who do we want? I want the undefeated guy that's beat all the other contenders, all the top guys. I'll be honest, with the Silva situation, he's yet to prove himself. He had, he fought a top guy and lost, a guy that I beat twice, quite comfortably. And then, you know, I go and fight him and I beat him, which I quite confident I'll do, you know, without being cocky. And then he starts losing to your Movsars and Lerone Murphys and all that. People are going to look back at that and be like, why did he fight that guy? Like, you literally would. He was ranked #6. He had 1 win. He didn't beat any top guys. What's going on here? Why did he even fight him? And who's going to even remember that?
Movsar reacted to the comments from Volk, writing, "Champ, me and you are fighting. Don't worry about this noise." Speaking of that fight, we've been covering Aljamain Sterling's reaction on social media, where he said, he felt like it should have been a draw. Well, now he's doubled down even more in a video on his YouTube channel, saying that at best, he thinks it was a draw.
I think the better fighter won, but I still think the scorecards were incorrect. My personal opinion, I thought the fight was at best a draw. I couldn't see it for either guy with the point deduction. If there was no point deduction, I would have given it to Mosar, rounds 3, 4, and 5. The guy's talking about a 10-8 round. What are you talking about? Don't be silly. Don't be silly.
Aljo also brought up the fact that Movsar didn't lean on his wrestling as much in this fight. He said that if Evloev had committed to his grappling more, he likely would have had a much easier time winning, and could have avoided a controversial decision altogether.
I told you he was pretty good. And Mozart is really good. I just didn't 100%. Think he won the fight based on what we watch. And I think he could have made it super clear cut and right to the point. I am the most dominant fighter. Had he used his wrestling, I think it would have been night and day. And again, we would not even be having this conversation right now. So there's that.
Well, Movsar has now responded to Aljo's comments in a couple different ways. First, he tweeted out a photo from their fight. Then, he followed up by tweeting this: "Damage in a fight is what matters, and that's exactly what I did against a very good opponent. What I learned from the last fight is that winning is not the most important thing. Entertaining the people and putting everything on the line matters too. When you take risks, you will be rewarded, and I will be rewarded. Thank you, everyone." Another person who came away thinking that the fight was a draw is Ariel Helwani. He said he rewatched the bout and had Movsar winning rounds 1, 4, and 5. But because of the point deduction, he felt a 47-47 scorecard was the correct outcome.
I rewatched it this morning, so I feel very confident in saying who I thought won the fight and how I scored the fight. Guys, I scored it 3 rounds to 2 for Movsar Evloev. First round, 4th round, 5th round. However, he does lose the point in the 4th round after the second nut shot, which I thought Mark Goddard did a tremendous job. He said, "I don't want to be involved. You're making me involved. I have to take the point away," because it was the second nut shot. And so as a result of that, I feel comfortable, very, very comfortable in saying that I thought this was a 47-47 draw. I don't know how you have it 4 rounds to 1.
As for Murphy, he released a statement on the fight, writing, "I loved every second of the fight. I thought I'd done enough to take the first 3 rounds, although it was close. A draw at the very least with the point deduction, but on to the next. Movsar fought a smart fight and didn't give me many openings. I could have created a bit more chaos. I hope we can run this back at some point. I'll be back with a vengeance." Lerone also mentioned he suffered a torn hip flexor in round 4 while posting a story on his Instagram of him getting cryotherapy. Conor McGregor will fight at International Fight Week. Many fans have been wondering when Conor McGregor will return to the octagon. Well, now we may be getting an answer to that after Ariel Helwani said, unless something disastrous happens, Conor will be fighting on July 11th. If you remember from last week, Max Holloway called Conor out on Instagram and YouTube, so there's a really good chance the UFC books that and they run their fight back.
Like I said, man, before the fight I was talking about it. I mean, Conor's there, you know. Conor got one over me. He's talking about coming back. I'm coming off a loss. I mean, it looked pretty fun to get down back, you know, with him. So we see what happens. I know a lot of people are worried about the weight and this and that, but if he doesn't want to cut weight, then I don't want to cut weight. We can do it at any weight, to be honest.
There's been a lot of negativity around the UFC's matchmaking and lack of star power on cards recently, so they'll definitely need this fight to come together to help calm down the backlash. Here's what Ariel Helwani had to say on his show.
It was lacking. It was just lacking, and it feels like there's just been too much of that as of late. And, you know, you couple that with the answers that you get at the post-fight press conference, the demeanor, the state of things, the matchmaking, and this is why I continue to say the master of good timing, the beneficiary of the best timing in the history of the sport is Conor McGregor, because he is sitting there, I'm being dramatic here, kind of burning down that meme of the dog and this is fine. He's kind of sitting there being like, all right, yep, I'm sitting pretty right now. Of course you want me back. And I'm telling you, we told you about the meeting 2 weeks ago. I told you it went well. PT told you it went well. At this point, I think it would be safe to say that it would be a disastrous situation. Something disastrous would have had to have happened if he's not fighting on July 11th. They need this now more than ever. They need Conor McGregor to be on this card. They need this guy now more than ever, and they have to do everything in their power to make this happen. Let's play this clip of Max Holloway, because Max is very cerebral. Max is very calculated when he says things. Charles isn't getting that Conor fight after that fight. I don't even think Conor wants a BMF title. I think Max is trying to tell us something there, and I would put him with Nate out. It feels to me like he's trying to tell us, like, this is what I want, and I don't think he's talking if things aren't happening behind the scenes. And these talks are going well, and I think they're going well because the UFC recognizes, hey, we need to make this happen.
Conor seems like he's in a great mood. He posted this video on his IG, and he's all smiles next to the UFC octagon he has on his wall. So it looks like this report could be true.
Yeah, my man. Hold this point this way. Look. No, hold it. We'll let this just go.
If the UFC books Conor versus Max, do you think that will bring in extra hype to the White House card and kind of calm fans down about the bad cards lately? It seems like this could be a really smart play for the UFC to get Conor to fight right after the White House event, which could draw in even more eyes than the fight in front of the Oval Office. Alex Pereira makes $10 million per fight. Alex Pereira's contract has been a hot topic after he signed an 8-fight deal recently, and a lot of people have been talking about what he could potentially be making against Ciryl Gane at the UFC White House card. While on the Show Me the Money podcast, Grant Dawson gave an estimate on how much he thinks Pereira is making. He said it was between $5 to $10 million per fight, but if he had to guess, it's probably closer to 10. If Dawson is right, this would be one of the bigger payouts for a fight in UFC history. Grant also mentioned that Dustin Poirier shared to him what he was making per fight, and that's where he got the estimate from. Here's what Grant had to say.
He's making per fight, if you're the guess.
Oh,
5 to 10?
Yeah, 5, 10. Closer to 10, probably.
Yeah.
You think 10?
I would think so, yeah.
Per fight?
I think so. I mean, Dustin was kind enough to share what he was making, and I got it.
But no more.
I gotta think that.
We'll beep it
You
out,
think it's
bro.
getting cut though with his pay-per-view buys? Because he's no more pay-per-view buys.
That's true. There's no more pay-per-view. That is true. But they probably did that
But
because
this
they
is-
want to keep them around because they're not doing.
This is pretty much the first big fight deal post pay-per-view. Has there really been any other ones?
Mm-mm.
That's what I'm saying. So it'd be interesting to know.
That's funny because just a few days ago, when Nate Diaz's payout for the Netflix fight was revealed by Joe Rogan, a tweet on X blew up mocking Alex Pereira for Nate Diaz getting paid more. Ironically, if what Grant's saying is true, then Alex is making much, much more than Nate over his 8-fight deal. Dana White receives major backlash for cutting pay. UFC just signed its biggest rights deal ever with Paramount Plus for $7 billion, so you'd think that the fighters would get better pay and more incentives. But think again. According to UFC analyst Raf Miera, the UFC has done the exact opposite. They're no longer financially supporting team accommodations for events. This means that fighters are now forced to pay for their teams out of pocket, other than the head coach. And this is cutting into their costs per fight majorly. Raf Miera went on Instagram writing, "I've had dinner with a number of UFC fighters and their teams in the last 2 weeks, and there's one thing which has become increasingly clear. The pool of money is more concentrated at the top end than ever. Even the top 30% of fighters have their shoulder just above water. That top 10% is literally the promised land. UFC no longer subsidize teams in hotels, etc. Such cost cutting has led to camps having to finance things they previously never even had to consider. And remarkably, some fighters are just about breaking even now. In fact, some only travel to UFC London for exposure." He also wrote, "As of 2026, UFC no longer makes provisions for fighters' teams that they previously used to. Outside of the head coach, the rest of the team must now finance their own hotel's accommodation when traveling for international shows like UFC London. Similarly, there are strict limits on +1s/family members who can accompany fighters traveling internationally." The MMA community had major backlash for Dana White after this news was revealed, especially after the new Paramount deal. Fans responded by writing, $7 billion deal, but they won't pay the fighters' teams? Between this, the matchmaking, and the AI slop in the cards, the UFC has really lost its soul. They signed a mega deal and they cut the help for the fighters' teams? Lame. UFC is printing money, yet fighter support keeps getting squeezed. No wonder talks of unionization or fighters eyeing better options, PFL, ONE, or even crossover stuff, keep popping up. Dana loves calling it the best it's ever been, but moves like this make it feel like the fighters are the last priority.